There we go.
Okay, let's get started with round one.
Okay. Hello, I'm Mauricio Perez, and I'm going to defend the point that animal testing should not be banned. But I'm going to question this. If you want to be sure that the medical treatment works before it's applied with someone you love, because this might seem true to some of people, but through the long time in history, animal testing has been the key for so many medical advances through the world. So it says in the Foundation of Biomedical Research, every medical breakthrough in the past 100 years, for example, like insulin or includes the chemotherapy that treats cancer, is involved to animal research. Further, in today's days, the technology is so advanced that the scientists have developed so many alternatives for not to use animal testing. But to mimic human response to the medicaments. But these tests are not very clear, not very exact, because some things that only when are treated with animal testing can be applied. For example,
Student student B?
Okay, my initial point, yes?
Yes, your initial.
Okay, so, as Mahatma Gandhi once said, the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And animal testing, as we all know, is when laboratory...
Who are you?
Yeah, my name is Gustavo Gonzalez. And now, continuing, animal testing is, as all of you should know, when animals are used to test either medicines, vaccines, sometimes cosmetic products, etc. This is used normally to ensure that, oh yes, medicines do work. However, 94% of the drugs tested in animals do not work in human tests. Not only that, but according to the United States Department of Agriculture, over 300,000 animals a year are involved in activities that result in, let's say, the animals becoming, losing a limb, losing sight, or losing any or all of their senses. As well as that's for the next round.
Okay. Round two?
Okay, your point is valid that the animal testing for some people sounds bad, but like you say, in some cases animals lose all their senses, and that's true. For example, some medicaments in animals doesn't work like the same in humans because we have different physiologies. But the data that we gain of these tests, it helps us to improve that medicament on humans. Also, in these days, there are strict regulations for animal testing. So the animal testing is, like you say, is the last option if there is no other alternative. Like it says in the European, like something that I read for the European Commission, 95% of the countries that are in the European Union accord that animal testing is not is an alternative method. How can I put it? It's like the last option of use if there is no other available option to prove that the medicine works or not works for human use.
That?
Okay, so to counter that, first of all, as you said, in the European Union, Europe, as we all know, is one of the most developed continents. Yes. Europe is one of the most developed continents in the world, so you cannot put the highest standard in basically everything compared to the rest of the world. Because, for example, Mexico doesn't have the laws that Europe has, Africa doesn't have the laws that Europe has, etc. Also, animal testing shouldn't even be an option. Why? Because we have developed, as you mentioned, new ways to test medicine, such as artificial organs. which replicate perfectly how the organs inside me or inside you works.
Mm,
Also, just as a last point, we have been able to cure cancer in mice for the past decades. How has this, let's say, great contribution not translated to, oh, curing cancer in humans?
mm. Okay, you can repeat what you said, the last part that you said?
Oh yes, that we have been able to cure cancer in mice for a decade. How have we not transitioned into, oh, actually curing cancer in people?
Maybe you have a valid point. This not the animal test is not going to be an option, but this how can I put it? If you negate something to some people, they are going to do it either way illegally, and that's going to be worse because if the strict regulations say in that stipulate right now says if someone tries to test with animals, it has to be with an ethical and scientific regulations and strict supervised from other people that when the animals are testing are follow these regulations. But if we ban it, that these people are going to do it in secret and they don't have any ethical in those regulations. So it's not going to be cruel. It's going to be with so much pain that if we do it legally.
Okay. As a counter argument, the people that usually test products in animals are laboratories such as Pfizer, such as Moderna, and these laboratories cannot, let's say, risk being discovered. Oh, we're actually testing in animals. Why? Because a large sum of the money that they use to test is provided by the government. And if the government finds out that they have been using these funds to do something illegal, they are going to retire them entirely, and their enterprise can be in danger.
We're ready for the following round, which is coming from the audience. If you haven't asked, this is your chance. Yes, Ignacio Tucum.
For sure not.
Okay.
You talk about ethics and all of this. I think that could you give me an example of what is ethic? Because you said that it's legal to create animals to die when you're testing a product. Is ethical to play the role of deciding, okay, you're gonna have these sicknesses, you're gonna cure if not, if you die. Is ethical to do that or not?
You can structure better your question for.
Is ethical to create life to then destroy it?
That is a difficult question. I think that it's a little bit ethical and not how can I put it? I think it's not ethical, but it's like something too religious, like God creates and destroys life. It's how life works. It's their choice. So, but with the actual regulations, the thing that is ethical is that how can I put it? They are going to select a few number of test subjects because but the test subjects are how can I put it, are strictly recommended because they are some of the ethical is that they're not going to use animals that are in danger because they are going to affect the ecosystem of the world. So if they choose a select number of animals that are like a with a great population, and they select a small one so that this doesn't affect the other the big population of them.
Okay. Following question, Mario.
For the shoot. What do you think is going to happen after we suddenly ban all these experiments? You said that. I think I heard you said there were 300,000 animals per year or something like that.
Yes, just in the United States.
What do you think they're going to do with all the animals out there?
Well, laboratories will not be breeding animals to be tested on, so the animal population will lower. And we also have new ways to test medicines and cosmetics, such as artificial organs, in vitro testing, as well as artificial skins when it comes to moisturizers and stuff like that.
Yes, Sophie?
Or that should not, with all the technological advances we're having, do you think that animal testing is the best way to create new
Okay.
Ideas.
solutions?
Okay.
Inventions.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. For in these days, I think that the animal testing should not, because I just say there are too many technological alternatives, and the thing that we need to do is to create more of those alternatives, because if we create it, the animal testing is like going to be the last resort if we don't have any other option. So I think that the thing that we can do is not to ban the animal testing. Is that like you say, we need to create more options. So this is not to be used anymore.
Thank you. There is another question for the shoot side. Joan?
For the shoot side. What do you think, like, pharmaceuticals that need to be more precise and have, like, more purity because it's human healthcare? And I think that testing animals is, like, a more precise way of knowing what should we use or not. What do you think about that on banning animal testing?
Yes, so before human trials, which is, let's say, the final step to say, okay, this medicine works or doesn't, animal testing is what was previously used. But however, 94% of the drugs and medicines that passed the animal trials did not pass the human trials. So I do not believe that testing in animals equals testing like, oh yes, it's gonna work exactly like this in the human body, because, well, at the end of the day, we have different body structures. The animals have different muscle density, different bone density, their biliary system works differently, and they process proteins and all the stuff that's inside medicine differently than us.
Okay, we're ready for round 4.
Okay, in my conclusion, from my point of view, I think that animal testing, instead of being banned, because if we ban it, we have an essential function of the in the medical advances that we can use. So the thing that I recommend most is, like, we create more alternative uses. So if we don't need to use this option for the regularly, because if we do this all the time, almost all the animals are going to be in danger.
We're
Yeah.
ready for student B.
Okay, so as I mentioned repeatedly, animal testing should be banned. Why? Because although animal testing has been key to many of, let's say, humanity's great advances in medicine, that was in the past. Right now, we have new alternatives and new ways to test medicines, and I believe that these alternatives and the tests that have been made on them have proved to be more precise.
Thank you.